Good evening, guys. It's KB5MIQ Big Boy with take 900 of today's video. I've been trying to transition to a camera and computer video editing, and I thought I had it ready to do, but I picked up a hiss in my audio. I changed directions with the camera, and I'm still trying to work some more bugs out. So we're still doing this with the phone tonight. Well, guys, I want to thank all y'all. I finally completed all the YouTube partnership program steps, I believe, and have made it into the YouTube partnership program. I want to thank all you guys who subscribed and supported me. It's been a lot of fun doing this. Going to keep having fun doing it. We started this channel a little over 3 years ago, and I never thought it would get to where it is today. So thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I got to give a shout out to a few people that's been instrumental in helping me with this. The 10-meter group, 10-meter hammerheads we call them now. And number one is Jeff. He's been my elmer since '91. And he's the one that watched one of my early videos and encouraged me to start this channel. So WD5HKV Jeff and W5DLX Cody, KI5TKY Tim, K1ENT Kent, and WW5AH Adam have all been big supporters of helping me with this, and I appreciate it. Call out a few YouTubers now. What's up with Six? Vern Six. He was the first YouTuber I ever met. We contacted me, and we was both around 300 subscribers on our channel. Vern's a super good guy. And Coffee and Ham Radios, bunch of guys on there. It's a real good podcast on the live stream on YouTube, so be sure to check them out. K1ENT, Broken Circuit Ranch, Kent. Kent's been my tech support. A lot of this computer help and radio help I've been getting from Kent. He says I know more about computers than I let on, and I hate to break the news to him. I really don't. No, we're trying. An old ham radio cat here. She just climbed up my lap, and everybody look at the old crazy ham radio cat. Also had a good visit this week. W5DLX Cody brought my number one fan Aaron down, and he finally got to meet old ham radio cat face to face. Had a good visit, good time with Aaron, and glad to see these young people getting interested in the hobby. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to keep the channel running as is, and got some more reviews with MFJ coming up. Excited to be able to do that for them, and always remember Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas. That's my go-to place for ham gear. Well, guys, we're going into 2024, and it's an election year, and I do not talk politics on ham radio. I don't believe they mix. I'm not going to do that here now. But invariably, I'm already getting phone calls about what to do if communications fail, and people seeing military aircraft flying over. Since I'm retired military, calling, freaking out every time they see a plane fly over and asking me questions. And during the last election in 2020, I had people calling me on January 5th, afraid they'd heard a rumor out that the cell phones were fixing to go down, how to communicate with their family. I said that then, and I'll say it now. If you wait till the event happens, you've waited too long. We've got a major event coming up here in Texas in a few months on April the 8th, and it's going to affect my part of Texas, the big eclipse. We're right in the path of the totality of the eclipse, and they're estimating 100,000 people may converge on this area to see a 4-minute eclipse. I'm firmly convinced that if social media wasn't touting it the way they are, that many people wouldn't pay attention to it. But today, social media gets everybody hyped up, people going to be coming wanting to do their TikTok dancing under the eclipse, whatever they want to call it. So there's a chance of probably, I'm going to say 36 hours in April, that the cell phones may be overloaded. I don't think it'll be that big a deal. A lot of people do. I hope I'm right in this particular situation. I hope it's not a big deal. But I'm going to reiterate a few things I've talked about on earlier videos. If you're looking for an emergency communication plan, here's some options you have. A couple of options that don't require a license and the equipment's fairly inexpensive. CB radio and the FRS or Family Radio Service handhelds. CB radios, I'm going to say you reliably 10 to 15 mile range. Now, I know some CBers that watch me are going to come on here and say, oh, you can talk further than that. I'm talking bone stock radios with typical mobile antennas. That's all I'm talking about. Just a reliable range, inexpensive, no license required. The Family Radio Service, or the deer hunting radios I call them, they're maybe a half-watt radios, and they claim, I've seen them 2 mile range to 5 mile range. Only way they're going to get 2 mile or 5 mile range if you're on a salt flat. They are not going to do that in typical terrain. I've got a pair of the 2 mile range ones, and I'm lucky to get 3/4 of a mile out of them reliably. So, but they're inexpensive, and if you just need to keep up with neighbors during something going on, that'd be an ideal option. Now we get into the first of the license options, GMRS radios. GMRS is really starting to catch on in our area. I know Adam, Jeff, and Kent all have GMRS licenses, and I'm pretty sure I'm fixed to get mine. They're UHF channelized radios, and you get the same wattage output you do in a ham radio, like a talkie's, an average talkie's 5-watt talkie. Average mobile is going to be a 40-watt mobile. And there's GMRS repeaters. So I'm going to say you could get reliable 20 to 30 mile communication if you're using a repeater out of a GMRS radio setup. They do require a license, but it's no testing involved. You just pay the $35 fee, you get a 10-year license, and your whole family can use the same license. Not everybody has to have their own individual license. So, pretty good option, and it's really starting to catch on. Something to think about. Of course, now let's leave the best for last, ham radio, amateur radio. Everybody got to have a license. And your outlay of equipment is going to be considerably more in expense on it, and that depends on how in-depth you want to get into it. So, you got several options to think about there in amateur radio. The number one option, there is a test involved, so you'll have to do some studying, but it's not that hard to pass. Everybody is going to have a license that you want to talk to in it. Now, there's some groups right now that I've seen this same mess happen in Y2K 20 years ago, when everybody's capitalistic society, people are going to try to capitalize on making money off people on things like this. They're selling these My Emergency Radio, supposed to be pre-programmed with amateur radio frequencies that you don't have to have a license in an emergency. Well, you better read what the FCC dons as an emergency. My way I've been explained to me, and I think I'm going to be pretty close to being right. If you have a zombie apocalypse, a total breakdown of society, then yeah, you don't have to have a license anymore. You're pretty well going to be able to do what you want to. But if you have a localized, even a national disaster emergency, and you start getting on ham radio without a license, somebody's going to report you, and you still could face fines and penalties for operating in amateur bands without a license. So don't fall for that marketing ploy. And now I've seen another one coming out this weekend, Talk Anywhere for free with this radio talkie thingy. I don't know what it's supposed to use the internet or the cell phone system. I don't know how in the world that could work. But in national disaster, your cell phones are probably going to go down, so I wouldn't rely on that either. Do some research. Talk to ham radio operators if you know any. Visit a ham club. They'll be glad to give you some tips on things. do some research, watch some YouTube videos, watch my videos. I've got several videos where I talk about different ways to get into the hobby and some emergency suggestions. Last but not least, if you just need something to listen to, this is a good recommendation. Get you a shortwave receiver. This is a very inexpensive Texune PL330 shortwave receiver. MTC sells these things. You can get a fancier one, bigger one that uses outside antennas. The thing with a shortwave receiver and an outside antenna, it doesn't require any kind of a matched antenna. You just run a long wire as far as you can run it up a tree, will pick up just fine. So you can pick up news broadcasts and shortwave communications. Might be a good thing to have in an emergency. Main thing is plan ahead. And seriously consider ham radio. Say if you only consider ham radio for emergency use, but you're going to have to get some practice in it. You might like it and enjoy doing it as a hobby. I see a lot of guys, they're talking about, well, I bought this radio and I put it in this homemade Faraday bag and I'm putting it away in case I need it. Hey, that's fine. But if you don't know if it works to begin with, or if you don't know how to work it, trying to get it in operation in a hurry during an emergency might be a bit of a challenge. So just think about that and do your research and come up with your communications plan. My email's on my QRZ page. Feel free to email me if you got any questions. I'll be glad to help any way I can. Y'all remember Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas. They got some big things coming up for 2024. He's always got some good used gear on his site. So Richard and Christine got a real fine business up there, and they're my go-to place for ham radio gear. Thanks for MFJ for continuing to let me do reviews for them, and we've got some more review stuff coming up. Guys, thanks again to everybody subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Send me an email. Try to help you any way we can. This is KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.